once in a while, I get the opportunity to do something that is right in my wheelhouse and I find exciting, and that is help someone else launch a new podcast, and that is exactly what is happening today. Here to my left, this is Mr. Jason James with Heartland Properties, and I'm going to start, Jason, with you, and then we're going to introduce the team that you have brought with you. This is cool, but at the same time, it's a little out of your wheelhouse, right?
A little scary. I mean, honestly, we got this young buck here, and he's kind of got us doing stuff that I didn't think I'd be doing, but looking forward to it and excited.
Well, you've been with Heartland Properties since the 1830s, I believe.
Yeah.
It goes back quite a ways.
Not quite that long.
No, but you're very well known in the community, and you've been at this a while, and you have a really strong understanding about what's going on in the real estate market in the Council Bluffs and the surrounding area. And I think just that information alone is going to prove to be very valuable.
I hope so. I hope, I can use some of the knowledge that I've gained over the years. Believe it or not, it's been 31 years this year. So I tell people I started when I was just out of high school, but I was really 21. So I'm 52 now. And I think, taking some of the knowledge that I've gained over the years doing this and then helping kind of mentor, someone younger. And then I've been a teammate with Yvette, who's much younger too, of course, but Yvette and I have worked together for years, and just looking forward to, trying something new and just building something new at the office that I hope we can watch these guys grow along with me. So.
That new thing you're building is a team. This is a new concept for you.
For me, yes.
Yeah.
Other people have done it. We've saw it. It's worked in other places. And as a company, we thought we need to embrace teams more. And we have another team at our office, Mark Hanwright. He did the first team with him and Rochelle Edwards and Christy Majors and Joe Don Hunter and John Wooden, and they've done amazing. They're doing great work, and kind of watch them. So they really were a little bit the cutting edge ones at our office. And then I thought, I think I have something I could give and help. And as I get older, I kind of have a desire to, help others kind of work their way up. And someone's got to fill these places as some of us start to slow down. Not that I'm going to, retire anytime soon, but I do want to kind of spend more time with family and my wife. So
you need to plan ahead to be able to do that. So
Yes.
This is the right way to do it. If you waited until, okay, I'm going to retire in 6 months, and then tried to put people in place to carry on after you, that's too late. Now is the right time to do that.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think it's probably going to be a 10-year process. I don't know if they'll ever get me out of there. I'm just going to change a little bit how I work. I see myself selling real estate probably till I'm 70 years old, but I think I'll be working differently in the 5 or 6 more years, and hopefully have good teammates to help backfill.
Well, let's talk about those teammates. Yep. You brought some people here. These are handpicked. You introduced them, and tell us a little bit about why you made these decisions.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start with Yvette, because she was with me, from the beginning. When we started working together, and Yvette has really been a family friend and someone that's known our family, her and her husband Brian, and we watched the kids grow up, and we don't live far from each other, and so we had a personal relationship before, and we worked together. Yvette kind of as my assistant, but also teammates, and we've had a good working relationship. I mean, she puts up with me most of the time. I think there's sometimes I can be probably a pain in the rear, but so Yvette Perdue's been with me for, how many years has it been, Yvette?
About 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
Working as your assistant slash.
And you've been at our company for
9 years.
9 years. So she's been there a while, and then who I'll introduce next is kind of the person that spurred this team thing on is Jake Stander, and I've known Jake since he was a little kid. I've known his grandpa was Ron Standard. Yeah. Everyone in Council Bluffs knows the butcher, Ron Standard. And then his dad, Frank, and his mom, Robin, been friends of us, my wife and I, for years. And then Frank and I really, he's a very close friend of my father, and they've just been friends of the family. So they're more than just I guess a kid I recruited to be on the team. Their family's close to us. So
Well, when you, and Jake, I'm going to get to you in just a second, also Yvette, you as well. But when you look at somebody that's new to the game, and Jake, I've seen your videos. So, by the way, you're doing a great job with those. Truly, you are. What do you recognize quality-wise in Jake that maybe somebody else, if they're putting their team together at Heartland Property, said this is what you want to look for?
that's a great question. So for Jake, I mean, what I was looking for is just someone I felt was a self-starter and was not afraid to go out and talk to people and be outgoing. And I tell people, there's a lot of things in real estate when someone gets in the business, that they think you need, but there's some qualities that are very important. One of the first things is you have to be driven, right? You have to, no one's going to tell you to get up and go to work. There's no one, you don't have a boss, telling you have to be here at 8 a.m. And so on. The other thing you have to be really good at in real estate is talking to people about other things than real estate, because, you got to be able to create connections with people. And the third thing is you have to have thick skin, I guess. I mean, because your heart gets broke a lot in this business. And I really felt like knowing Jake that he has those qualities. And when he started talking about getting to real estate, I honestly had such a great job. I kind of was nervous because I thought I'd hate to see you give up this job and try this job where you're not guaranteed a guaranteed salary every month. You start out and there's not anything in the pipeline at first. But he just told me, he said, I just love this. I feel like when I'm studying to do this, it's just time's just flying by. It's just, I'm so interested. And after I talked to him more and more, I thought, I think this is for him. So,
Well, Jake, as you hear that, and knowing that you're coming in and already making an impact, otherwise you guys aren't sitting in this room. What are some of your thoughts and feelings as you hear Jason talk about that kind of thing, as you're just launching into this new career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having fun with it. Honestly, I'm trying to do things different. I see what everybody else is doing out there, and I'm just trying to be more unique in a way that kind of separates me from everybody else. And I think that that's important because I think that helps you stand out in the community. So it's been great. It's been nothing but awesome things that's happened for me at Heartland so far. I'm super excited for it. And, the team today, we figured out our name and got some things rolling. We made a lot of ground this week on that. So that's been super exciting. But no, I feel fortunate to be here and to be on Jason's team. I mean, he's the best to learn from in my eyes. And I feel fortunate enough I get to learn from him and, look at him as a mentor in this business to help me out.
Yvette, you've been along this road a little bit longer, but when you hear the things that Jake said, does that kind of bring you back to when you first got going and thinking the same thing?
Yeah, I love his enthusiasm. I think it really has brought, when you're an agent and you're new to the business and you're excited and you want to work and then you, just like with any job, you get kind of, you just go along, and then he comes along and it's like, I'm energized again. I'm ready to do this. I'm going to do a podcast, and I never thought I would sit here and do a podcast before.
Well, all this is having a conversation. You sit and you talk about stuff you guys already know about.
Sure.
So it's just a way to be able to share some information with people. And folks that didn't know you, or maybe they knew your name but didn't know anything about you, now they can learn something. Obviously, they can't find out everything, but it's a way to create a little bit of familiarity. So when the time comes and you're actually shaking someone's hand for the first time, that initial part is already, there's a little bit of a baseline there. That's the point to this. It's not to, I can't sit here, produce a podcast for you, and help you sell a house. Not possible. That will not happen. But we can get your name and faces out there a little bit more than what they were before. And especially in a community this size, that is vastly important to be able to make those connections and to grow those relationships in a very genuine way.
Yeah, I think it's pretty Pretty cool. Yeah. We would not be here if it wasn't for Jake. And I was thinking what you're saying, Yvette, just how he's kind of bringing energy into us and he's teaching us things, he's kind of making us step our game up. And to be honest, we were even visiting the other day, even some of the other people at the office, I feel like are watching, and it's kind of re-energizing everyone. So it's been an all around positive, and I'm pretty excited.
Well, we've got a couple of announcements to make here. First off, let's find out what your team name is. You said you've come up with that. So what are we calling you guys?
Kick it off, Yvette.
JPS Realty Group.
That works.
How original. It's our initials, but I mean, it's like, we just thought, we kind of talked, and we kind of want to have our name in it because we've worked hard to make our name recognizable. Yvette with her last name Perdue, and her father-in-law was in real estate for years and years here, built many homes. Yeah, 53 years. I've been in it 31 and did a lot of work to build my name up, and we felt like Jake's name, we know he's going to be a big player soon, and we know how well his name's known with his grandpa Ron Standard, and we just thought, let's put all of our name in it, and these guys kind of came up with it, and I said, sounds good to me. I'm along for the ride. So
that's the first name we need to know. The second name is, have you decided a name for this project we're working on right now?
So that's what we're working on right now. So essentially, kind of our idea with that is doing a podcast every other week. So maybe I'm on it, maybe Yvette's on it, maybe just Jason's on it. Then sometimes all of us will be on it. We're just kind of take turns and make sure, everybody can make it when we bring a guest on. And the guests are kind of going to look like lenders, maybe some business owners, maybe they're even clients. We're just going to keep bringing on different clients, and then even other agents at Heartland, we'll bring them on, and talk to them a little bit. So, and then even sometimes we might even just talk to each other about what's going on, interest rates, market, and specifically about Council Bluffs and the surrounding areas. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times you find a podcast that talks, about what's going on in New York City, and that has nothing to do with where we're at here. And there's not really a lot of content out there that tells you really about what's going on in Council Bluffs and the surrounding areas. So essentially that's kind of the idea for the podcast.
I think as we're doing this, something to keep in mind is we always want to put a timestamp on this because, markets change.
Yeah.
And once you do one of these, then it exists and it's sitting out there and people can come back and find it a year later.
Yeah.
And it's possible might be some changes. To me, it was a recent shift in what we have seen in the real estate market in Council Bluffs and the surrounding areas here. Huge price jump with valuation. Mm-hmm. And from what I have heard inside of the industry, that's probably here to stay. I think a lot of people were waiting for an adjustment to go back the other direction. What I'm hearing, that's not going to happen. We're probably where we're at right now. So we need to readjust our thinking and say, okay, this is our base, and work from there.
I'd agree. I think, first of all, in the Midwest, you just don't see the ups and downs like you see in those vacation home markets like Vegas or Florida or Phoenix, so you don't see the big dips, at least if you look back at history. Even in 2008 when we saw the dips where they were saying, in Arizona, prices will never come back to what they are and what they were, and they're already past that.
Yep.
Here, we didn't see those dips. I could see a flattening of the market maybe at some point, and to be honest, that might be healthy. The growth we were having just to me wasn't sustainable and not good because it just has taken so many buyers out of the market. A lot of people in the community talk about all these apartments and rentals, but what's happening is there's so many people not able to buy that first house or not to get in the market that I think that's one of the things that's driving the demand for these apartments. And the reason they're getting built is because people are renting them up when they're getting built. So I could see a flattening in the market. I would be surprised if it dips much, to be honest with you, but that's just my opinion.
I am glad that you brought up the apartment side of it and the rental side of it, because you are more aware than anyone else that we have a definite need for not just apartments, but for homes for sale. The vacancy rate is incredibly low where we're at. And some would make the case dangerously low, that this is well past what we should be. And it's not a quick fix.
No, it's not. I mean, when you, some people talk about, oh, there's too many apartments getting built, but I can tell you when there's too many, rents will go down and there won't be as much demand, or there'll be the same demand, there'll be plenty of supply. And yeah, it's not healthy, and it's not for there to be this low of vacancies. And I just finished those Ridgeline apartments off of Valley View, and we finished our last building in June, and all of those were rented out by September.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just amazing, how quick things are renting up. And what you're seeing, I think, is good, because Council Bluffs was a town where we had many homes that were a little bit worn out on the west and south ends of town, and they were regular single-family homes that had turned into rentals. And many of those homes now are going back to owner occupants, and those people are moving in to built-to-be rentals, which are honestly safer. Most of them are sprinkled that are new. They're built to be an apartment versus maybe a home that was converted, or like some of these homes on South 8 that are big old homes that were made into 4 and 6 and 8 plexes that maybe aren't as safe. So in the long run, I think it's a positive that, rental properties are going to be more built to be rentals, and we'll have less of these conversions. So
yeah, there's just so many different pieces to be able to right the ship when it comes to that. Yeah. And it's a step-by-step process. And I'm not in the industry. I don't really have a good understanding about just how long that's going to take, but I do know that it's probably going to be going on for a couple of decades, I think, before we actually see real improvement.
I'd agree. And, I was in planning at the city planning office yesterday, and I was with the planning department talking about a project with them. And we were talking about affordable housing, and we were talking about what a passion I have towards housing. And I don't know what makes me have that. I think it's a sense of belonging. I've always had a passion to have people come to my house and gather people. And when we talked about that a little, one of the issues is we are so darn spoiled nowadays. People say they want affordable housing, but nobody wants an 850 square foot ranch with no garage and no basement. But that's what they used to build. And in the 50s and 60s, people were buying those houses and they were happy, and they built their garage later, or they did things. No one wants to build. Everyone wants a 1,500 or 2,000 square foot ranch with a 2 or 3 car garage, and those aren't affordable. Today, if they would build more homes, the smaller homes with less amenities, we could get those costs down, but it just doesn't seem like people are attracted to build those.
And plus we're in a unique topography here. I think it's tough to find places to put those subdivisions and to put new housing developments. There's so much infrastructure that has to go in along with that. And I've heard talks about, when you got wastewater that you have to deal with, and we have to pump it up a hill. There's so many different moving pieces that are involved with this. It's just, there is no easy solution. But like you said, you got to keep having the conversations.
Yeah. You got it. And I think there's people working on it now. And I think our planning department does a great job, and I'm optimistic about the future. I mean, we're doing a lot of great things. We have a lot of things in the works. I feel like in general, we're heading the right direction. But it's not a problem like all these problems, you don't solve it overnight.
All right. Well, Yvette, let me ask you, as you hear Jason talking about some of these things and knowing that, all right, this is the market in which I'm making a living out now. I'm, helping folks buy and sell their properties. Is it encouraging to you to know that you've got a leader on your team that has this kind of background and knowledge of what's going on?
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk about this all the time with the 55 and older community as well. There's a need. There's a lot of people out there, especially with our taxes that keep going up. It gets a little difficult, and just to have something affordable for them to go to, downsize to, I think that's really important. We talk about, my husband and I talk about downsizing every once in a while, and but yeah, there's a definite need, and he's really working hard to help everyone to get the community what they need to get affordable housing and get housing in general.
Yeah, and Jake, also for you, just coming in. Now, this is kind of your baseline. This is not, you don't have a decades-long history of watching the market come up and down and trying to understand trends. So where does that put your mindset as you're just now coming in and, all right, I gotta figure out how I can talk to people about what's happening right now?
No, sure. Great question. I mean, I might be new, but I have a backup with 30, 40 plus experience that has my back around Heartland, and even if Jason's not there or Yvette's not even there, there's everybody willing to help. And that's what I found out. Everybody's willing to help at Heartland Properties. If it's not Jason, it's Yvette. And if it's not Yvette, it's somebody else. So everybody's willing to help if I have questions about, what's going on, or, how I might have to do, this for a contract or this for a client. It could be anything. And that was like the best thing about Heartland was, I came to Heartland because my grandma worked there for 30 years. Jason was there. John was there. I knew them. I knew some people at Heartland. And so I really came for the people, and I really knew that it was a great company to work for. And with that said, when I walked in those doors, it was open arms. Like everybody was open arms. I felt comfortable right away. It was like, felt like I knew everyone, more than I really have known them for. So, it's really been great, and having the help from everybody has really been awesome for me as well.
And what I know about Heartland, and from a sense of things, not facts, but a sense of it, is this is a company that's embedded in the community. That you have been a part of things for a very long time, and that is going to continue.
We sure hope so. I mean, I will tell you that we've always kind of had the motto that, we've made our money in this community and we're going to give back to the community. I don't know. I've always been kind of a one for the underdog a little bit. And I've always felt like Council Bluffs next to Omaha, and we work in Omaha too. I love it. But I've always just kind of felt like, I wanted to make this community better. I don't know where that came from or what drove me, but ever since I got in the business, I've always had a desire to like improvement. And sometimes people don't realize, I think, how much it has improved in the last 30 years since I've been here. I tell people a lot when I used to drive in, from back where the old Kmart was there, you had, where Fairway was a closed gas station, where Primrose was a closed Vergamini's gas station, where Super Saver was a closed JCPenney's. The Midlands Mall was closed. You had the old Raj and Scotty's closed. It's now Walgreens. I mean, I could go down that street and I could tell you place after place that's been cleaned up. And it's happened over 20, 30 years, so a lot of people don't, realize it, but I do. I mean, I remember when you used to go over the viaduct and look down Broadway, and there were just wires everywhere going back and forth, and people don't realize they aren't there anymore. It's nice and clean when you look down Broadway. It's those lamp posts, but they forget that was just a hodgepodge of wires all over that. And just so many changes I've seen over the years. I'm proud to have been just a little bit of the part of it. So
yeah, it didn't take very long for all of us to kind of forget all the construction that happened along Broadway. Yeah. That was a long, ongoing process. And now that it's done, I think everybody's glad that we went through that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it just, it's one of those things when you want something nice, sometimes it's a little bit of hard work and it's a little bit of a pain. And I remember all the interstate construction. Remember how long we put up with that? But when it's done, it sure is nice. And even down there by the riverfront now, you go down there and that's starting to look beautiful. By I bet you next fall, it's really going to look nice. So then you go over by Iowa Western, or there's so many places that have cleaned up in this town. And I have friends that coming over here from Omaha, and they're like, I had no idea, how nice this was. And so things are definitely changing, and we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Well, you bring up a great point about that with folks that, I mean, let's be honest, we have had a difficult time overcoming a really old reputation in Council Bluffs that no longer exists. And I'm hearing this from, usually what I'll say is, come on over. Have a cup of coffee. Yeah. I'll take you on a driving tour. Let me show you what it is that you're making fun of, or that you think is like still back in the 70s or the 60s. It's not anymore. We have, this place has been transformed.
Oh, it has. I mean, even just think of right down here. I mean, you have where I call it the new library. It's been here for a long time now. It feels like the new library to me. But if you remember, there were all those old apartments there and all those things, and just the cleaning up that's taken place, and just this whole area down here, the community down the Haymarket direction, so much cleaning up. I just think it's easy to forget what it looked like before and how far we've come. And I am really, my wife says I get a little defensive. I'm pretty protective over Council Bluffs. I've heard people call it Council Tucky and stuff, and I always say Beverly Bluffs is what I tell people. But I mean, I think it's a great community. And I will tell you this, in 31 years of selling houses, I've had people move over here, and it used to be we used to have open houses, and we seriously would maybe out of 10 people, one from Omaha. Today, you'll see half or more from Omaha. How that attitude's changed, like more people will move over here. And I think it's because of how much we've cleaned it up and how our image has changed, and it's going to only continue to get better.
I love the comment that I heard at that Voices and Visions event several months ago was with that name that you mentioned. Is Kentucky's a state full of bourbon and horses, and it's beautiful. What's the problem?
That's a great point. And I love bourbon, and I like horses. So I think, I think we have a great community. I've made my living here. The community has been amazing to me. I wouldn't have many of the things I have if it wasn't for Council Bluffs and its residents. So I plan on continuing to sell real estate here with these guys and have a great team. Maybe over the years add a few more people and just continue to improve our community and make it better.
Well, Jake, when you had the idea of the podcast and were thinking about how things would go, is this kind of what you envisioned?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think we definitely met the vision I had in my mind at the time. Yeah.
I mean, we're rookies. We're going to have to learn. We're learning, But...
I'll tell you something that I tell everybody that comes through our studios and wants to talk about doing a podcast, and they ask, well, what do I need to do to be successful? And I'll say, first, you got to be willing to suck for a while. But the thing is that it's okay, like this, or whether it be selling houses or whether it be painting, or regardless of what it is, the only way I know how to get better at it is by doing it. And that's it. And you get more comfortable as you sit here and as you have more conversations with people in the industry, whether it be lenders or might even be the bug guy or, what's involved with the termite inspection. All of that, the more you do that and more you have those conversations, then you start to get the muscle memory for it. And you stop thinking about these microphones and the cameras and everything that's involved with it. And you just settle in and you be yourselves. And that's truly what you guys are selling, because people can go anywhere to get somebody to represent them, to buy a house or to sell a house. What sets you apart is you. And that is your number one product. And if you can do that effectively, then you're going to be successful. This is just me, not even in the industry, with little soapbox speeches.
No, that's great. I agree 100%.
Well, I thank you so much for coming in, for trusting us to help you put this together. It's an honor for us to be doing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys start to create here. Yeah. It's a wide open world out there. People think that there's just so many podcasts. No, there's not, because this is a true stat. 90% of the podcasts that have ever been started didn't make it past episode 3. Oh. That is a true statement. So you want to be in the top 1% for longevity? Make it past episode 21. That's it.
We promise. That's it. We promise we'll stick to that. We'll make that happen.
That's that's a very simple process. So
and we'll eventually not suck.
All right, Yvette, Jake, Jason, thank you so much for coming in today. We're grateful for your time. And all right, well let's make some episodes and see where we can go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.